Hey everyone, Raider here. Hope you're all doing great and having a fantastic day. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at 15 tips and tricks to help you get the most out of your Samsung Galaxy Book 3 Pro 360. We've got a lot of ground to cover. Timestamps will be down in the description. And without any further delay, let's go ahead and jump right into the tips. All right, so for the first tip, we are going to enable 120 Hertz because that's new on this year's panel on the Galaxy Book 3 Pro 360 is we have 120 Hertz. It's always been 60 Hertz prior. But by default, when you get this sent to you from Samsung, it's set on dynamic 120 Hertz, and very rarely will it ever go up to that. It's mostly going to be at 60. So let me go ahead and show you where you can adjust that setting real quick. You're going to right-click on an empty spot of your desktop. You're going to want to select Display Settings. We're going to scroll down just a little bit until we get to Advanced Display. Go ahead and click on that. And then once that loads up right here in the middle, we have our refresh rate option. By default, it's going to come configured with this top option, dynamic 60 or 120 Hertz. We also have the 120 Hertz option, which I immediately switched to right when I got the laptop. And then you have 60 Hertz. So let me explain what each of these options are for. So 60 Hertz is if you want to prolong your battery life and extend your battery life because the screen's not refreshing as much as often. I didn't mean to switch to it. Let's go ahead and switch this back to 120. 120 Hertz, well, it's going to give you a smoother experience, and this affects the entire system, meaning your desktop, going through folders, any app you load, it's just going to be stuck at 120 Hertz, much like the Galaxy phones. In addition to that, we also have the default setting, dynamic 60 or 120. So your desktop, going through folders, regular applications like going on YouTube, those will all get displayed on at 60 Hertz. The only time it'll go up to 120 Hertz is if you're gaming or you're playing back some high-speed movies or stuff that's shot in high speed, like with a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. In those types of situations will it go up to 120. I like to keep it at 120 because I'm really appreciating the extra smoothness it gives you. But if you want to fine-tune this a little bit more, you can. We can go down here to Start, and you're going to want to start typing Intel. And we have Intel Graphics Command Center. Go ahead and click on that. Sorry if you hear some background noise, family's going wild. All right, so we have the Command Center open here. What we want to pick on is this icon that looks like a display over here to the left. All right, so if we scroll down just a little bit, we have the option to further adjust our refresh rate and fine-tune it, more granular, right here. So another way to fine-tune your refresh rate on your Book 3 Pro 360. So while we're here, let's go ahead and move on to the next tip, and that is a way to increase the brightness a little bit more than what the default allows you. And this is great for situations in which you go outside or you have a lot of reflections on the screen. So what you want to do is go ahead and click on this color option right in the middle of the screen. We're going to scroll down a little bit, and you have this toggle that says All Colors and RGB. If you toggle it back and forth, you want to leave it on All Colors. And then you have this slider right here with a default value of 38. You're going to want to go ahead and adjust this. We can take it down to lower the overall brightness, and we can raise it way up to increase it, like you see here. If you raise it up too high, things start to get a little bit washed out, especially if you go past like 60 or so. But this can be very helpful when you're outdoors. And again, this rides on top of the default brightness slider that you have, so this will help you increase the brightness even a little bit further. All right, so for the next tip, I often get asked about HDR on these Galaxy Book laptops. Now, they all support it. This supports HDR 500. Let me show you where to enable it, and I'll also show you how to adjust the brightness a little bit further for HDR 10 plus content. So what you want to do, again, is right-click on your display, on an empty spot, click Display Settings, and right here in the middle, we have Use HDR. And I should mention that HDR 500 means 500 nits of brightness, so that's what you're going to get out of this machine. And we're looking at about 410 nits of brightness with regular SDR content like we have right now. So if you click this little arrow right to the right of it, that's going to pull up some additional options for your HDR experience so you can fine-tune a little bit further. These are all the default HDR settings that come on Windows machines, so nothing new here. But if you want to go a little bit further, we'll go ahead and exit out of this. Go to your Start menu. Start typing Samsung Settings. All right, so Samsung Settings, you want to open that up. And we're going to go over here to the Display tab. All right, if we scroll down a little bit here, we have an HDR Plus item here, and we can switch between the regular natural and we can switch it up to bright. So you can further enhance your HDR experience here. And while we're here, just one more little bonus tip is you can also adjust your display profile right here. So we have our auto select, we have vivid, which is designed for AMOLED displays, natural, which is going to cover your sRGB spectrum, photo editing, which is going to cover the Adobe RGB color palette, and we have movies for DCI P3. So you have all these different color palettes already built into your Samsung settings. All right, so this next tip is a big one, probably the biggest tip that I'm going to share with you guys in this video, and that is on the Book3 Pro 360, you need to enable Dolby Atmos to get the most out of the audio on this machine. By default, it ships with it turned off. I have no idea why, because the audio flat out sucks with it turned off. So let me walk you through how you can turn this on. There's two different sections for you to turn this on. One of them allows you to make fine-tune adjustments, and one is just a toggle. And then we're going to take a listen to it with it off and with it on. And believe me, I think you'll all agree with me on this one that it makes a huge difference. So the Dolby Atmos toggle is in two spots. Let me show you that. Go to your Start menu. You're going to start typing Samsung Settings again. Go into here. All right. And we're going to go over to Sound. And it's going to be our first toggle to turn Dolby Atmos on. And it's the only option here in the sound section. Now we have one other spot where we can turn this on as well, and also fine-tune it by adjusting the equalizer settings. So if you go to the Start menu again and start typing Dolby Access, there it is on the screen. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Give that just a minute to load up. Once it does, you're going to want to go over to the Settings section, okay? And by default, when you get the machine, it's going to be just like this. Disable all speaker and headphone effects, which basically means disable Dolby Atmos. And we can prove this out because we have it disabled right now. And if we go back to Samsung settings, you'll see that Dolby Atmos is now off. And if I go back here and switch this toggle, all right, to where we're telling it not to disable the speaker effects, we'll go back here to Samsung settings and you'll see Dolby Atmos is on now. So the cool thing about using the Dolby Access app though, is once you have this disabled, which means Dolby Atmos is on, you can now come here and pick one of the default equalizers, which have some fine-tune adjustments to them. In addition to that, you can set up your own custom equalizer. So Dolby Access, a very cool application for adjusting your EQ settings, as well as toggling on that Dolby Atmos. So let's go ahead and take a listen to this in action, right? So I've got a YouTube video queued up. All right, we're going to go ahead and turn Dolby Access or Dolby Atmos off, and we're going to make sure the volume is maxed out, and I'm going to make sure the laptop volume is maxed out, 100 there. Let's go ahead and give this a listen. I've got a little lav mic around my neck here. I'm going to keep the same distance while doing both these tests. So here we are, full volume, Dolby Atmos off.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way.
Now let's turn Dolby Atmos on. Let's do that real quick. Wow, what a difference.
I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of the way. I can see the way you look at me. I'm such
Let's go back and forth and toggle between them so you can really hear that difference side by side. Dolby Atmos off. Sounds like crap. Dolby Atmos on. Needless to say, this is a no-brainer setting. You definitely want to turn this on to improve the audio on your Book3 Pro 360. All right, so for the next tip, let's take a look at the Samsung Settings app because we have a lot of settings in here that are relevant to this laptop to help you get the most out of it. So it's good to get familiar with it. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. So we have a lot of sections here on the left. We already kind of touched on this while looking at the display and sound. But we have connections. We can quickly pair and switch between like Galaxy Buds and other earbuds that you have. We have connected devices, right? So quick share, multi-control, second screen, all the different ecosystem functionalities that are built into the Samsung machine are right here in this one section. I'll go ahead and link a couple videos, complete tutorials on how to use multi-control and second screen down in the description so you can get the most out of this laptop. If we go down to sound, I think we already covered that. You have your Dolby Atmos setting. Notifications will take you to the Windows notifications panel. Here we go. So you can adjust the notifications here. All right, so in the display section, we have the screen mode stuff that we already looked at. HDR plus settings, right? And then we have dark mode, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. And then focus mode, which this does is it will bring focus to the current application and it'll kind of blur out everything else to the sides to help you keep focused on your work. All right, if we go down here to security and privacy, block camera and mic, which we also have a keyboard shortcut right up here. All right, we click on advanced features. We have studio mode. So studio mode brings up a toolbar when you use the webcam, and we're going to look at that in just a little bit. We have auto booting. We have our quick settings panel here. Similar to Galaxy phones, you also have this on the laptop here. And then we have battery and performance. This lets you switch between your performance profiles, which we also have a toggle for on the keyboard. And then we also have the keyboard settings. So we can adjust the keyboard backlight brightness. We can choose to keep it on, and we can also set a delay for when it comes back on. And then we have about Samsung settings. So this app is a great spot to go to quickly get to a lot of the settings that are unique to this particular laptop. That brings me to my next tip, and that is to use dark mode. You definitely want to use a dark theme, dark mode, and dark wallpaper on this laptop. And that's because this is an OLED-based panel. This is Dynamic AMOLED 2X, and at its core is OLED, which means all of the black pixels are not lit up at all. That's how OLED works. So that saves you a lot of battery and will extend your battery life throughout the day. And it also just looks really good on OLED. So you can adjust that right here in the Samsung settings by picking between light and dark. And you can also fine tune this a little bit more by going to the start menu. And you can go ahead and start typing dark mode. And there's going to be turn on dark mode for apps. Go ahead and click on that. All right, and that's going to give you a drop down for dark, light, and custom if you want to further customize it. So 2 different areas where you can turn on dark mode. All right, so for the next tip, while we're talking about settings and whatnot, let's take a look at the Samsung Update app. So you're going to start typing Samsung, and you'll see Samsung Update right here. Go ahead and select that. So on these Galaxy Book machines, in addition to the Windows updates that trickle in from Microsoft, you also have the updates that come in from Samsung for the Samsung ecosystem. So the Samsung Update app is which takes care of these. And it's really important the first couple weeks that you have this laptop that you come in here to the Samsung Update app and check for updates often. So I'm going to skip this here real quick. All right, so it's going to load up a screen showing you all your drivers. It'll show your up-to-date drivers down on this bottom half of it. And it will show you driver updates up on the top section. And you can see here, I have a firmware update from Samsung. Again, the first couple weeks, a lot of updates come through here. That's okay though, because after you get past the first couple weeks, these Galaxy Books really do stabilize nicely. All right, so Samsung updates, check on that often. All right, the next tip I want to share with you is that the Samsung Galaxy Book laptops come with a very cool built-in screen recorder. So let me show you that real quick. Go to your start menu, start typing screen, and there it is, screen recorder. We'll let that open up here real quick. So you'll see it put this white little border around the whole area. That's showing you the screen that it's going to capture. We have quite a few options here. We can choose to record just part of the screen, and we can move this around to pick which part of the screen we want, exit out of it. We also have the option to take a screenshot right here. Just click that. It'll take a screenshot to the directory specifying the settings, which we'll take a look at in just a second. We also have the ability to record ourselves with the integrated webcam or an external webcam by clicking this right here. Here we go. Hey, hey, hey. And while this is open, you can see here now we have that studio tools that we talked about in the Samsung settings. And we can do some cool things like, do that right there, which is center focus. We can adjust the background. We can blur it. We can change the color. All right, you see the background is now blue. So you have all these cool options with the toolbar down below. Let's go ahead and stop showing me here. I should mention while you're recording the screen, none of this toolbar stuff is recorded with it, all right? So in addition to all that, you have your settings section. So we can pick which size of circle we want to be shown on the screen, while we're recording. We can do a horizontal flip. We can do a countdown before the recording, a countdown, I should say. We can adjust the video resolution, and we can record at full resolution, 2880 by 1800. and you can record in low frame rate too. And then we go over to the audio section here. We can adjust whether or not we want to record the internal audio as well as capture the integrated microphone, or if we have an external microphone connected, and we can balance the levels out right here. We can go over to mouse effect and we can show our mouse cursor clicks and all that, and we can pick different colors. We can pick our file locations to where we want to save stuff. We can customize the shortcut keys to start and stop recording and all those type of features. And there's also a nice little tutorial here. So it's kind of cool that we have a very full-featured and very reliable. I've been using this for like 2 years now, the screen recorder, since the first original Galaxy Book. It's very cool that we have this built in. There's no download or anything needed, and I do not consider this bloatware. I use this all the time. I've actually made full-on YouTube videos using the screen recorder. So definitely a great built-in tool that's already built into your Book3 Pro 360. All right, so the next feature, ooh, this one's kind of cool, and I know this one's going to kind of rub Galaxy Book 2 and original Galaxy Book Pro owners the wrong way here. So we have the ability to press function F12, and that will lock our shortcut keys up here, our function lock. So right now I have it locked to where I can adjust the brightness and turn it down, and by default this is disabled. So when it's disabled, you have to press function and then press the brightness keys. So to turn on the function row lock, you just press function F12, and to turn it back off, you press function F12 again. Now here's the part that's going to tick people off that own last year's models. So it's a known bug or an issue, or I should say complaint of people everywhere, that when you restart the machine or you do a complete shutdown and you bring it back up, your function lock is no longer there. It's back to where it was before you started. So you have to press function F12 again to turn it back on. Not this year, I've tested it thoroughly. Now when you press function F12, it will stay put until you press function F12 again. Doesn't matter if you restart, it doesn't matter if you do a full shutdown, it doesn't even matter if you do system updates. I know because I've already been in all three situations. And in all three of these situations, it came back up with the same setting that I had left it on. So that is an awesome upgrade for this year. You know, a lot of complaints the last couple years about that, and those complaints will be no more because now we have function F12 locked and it will stay that way. Super awesome. So for the next tip, we talked about this in the Galaxy Book 2 tips and tricks video, and that is to enable GodMode on your machine. So what you want to do to enable that is you're going to want to right click on an empty spot of your desktop, and then you're going to pick new folder, and it's prompting you for a name. So I'm going to drop the name of the folder that you need to put here down in the description, and I'll also put it on the screen here. So all you do is rename your folder to that name, and then it's going to look like this here, this one that I have highlighted. And what will happen is when you double click on this, it is going to open up basically a whole list of system administrator features that you can now do directly from this one shortcut command. And there is a long list of stuff you can do. And the really cool thing about this though is you can go up here and just do a quick search for stuff that you want to do, like disk. All right, so if you want to manage your disk, here we can go. We can create partitions, free up space, all the different features that are related to managing your disk drive, your local disk drive. So you can do whatever searches you want. Like if you put in screen, you can adjust all your display settings. It's just a quick little shortcut to get to all the system admin features that are now buried everywhere in Windows 11. That's a problem. With Windows 11, everything is just spread out everywhere now. Just even into task, it's ridiculous. So now this is your one-stop shop for having all those shortcuts in one spot. Windows GodMode, it's been around for a long time. This works on Windows 10 and Windows 11, and it'll work on other machines besides this one as well. All right, so this next tip is just a quick one, but an important one on a machine like this, especially when you're trying to conserve battery life, and that is to get familiar with your performance toggles. So we have a few different settings to switch between. We have silent, quiet, optimized, and high performance. So in silent mode, as the name implies, the fans are going to be off, very similar to MacBooks. But you're not going to have much performance, but you will get great battery life due to the fact that you're not getting much performance, right? The fans aren't kicking on, everything's throttled back. If we go into quiet mode, the fans will only kick on a little bit once in a while, but the core clocks get boosted up a little bit. And then we have optimized. This is a mode that I typically stay in, so the system will kind of throttle itself back and then ramp itself up based upon what you're doing, like if you're gaming or coming back to the desktop. And then in addition to that, we also have high performance mode, which is full throttle. Now this is going to rip right through your battery. Fans will start kicking once you start doing some stuff. This will give you the most performance out of your Book3 Pro 360. All right, the next tip I want to share with you guys is I am not a fan of one of the apps that comes pre-installed on all of these machines. I've talked about this last year. I'm going to talk about it again, and that is I hate McAfee. It is a resource hog. I can't stand it, and it's on this machine. So go ahead and type add remove programs. There it is. If you want to use it, go for it. You only get a short license, and you're going to have to pay for it. So it's not free forever or anything like that. But if you want to do that, go for it. I don't like it. There's so many other free offerings out there that work better. So we will go down here until we find it. McAfee Live Suite. And you're going to click the little three dots and uninstall. I would do it right now, but I just want to make sure this edit takes before doing that. So once I'm sure it's done, I will be going in here and uninstalling this myself. As far as other apps go too, just keep in mind that Google Chrome is a resource hog for the time being. I know they're working on an update to help optimize it, but for the time being, Google Chrome, not good. All right, for the next tip, we're going to talk about properly handling and traveling with this laptop, because being as thin as it is and lightweight as it is, this is a very delicate machine. All right, so one of the complaints that we've had in previous years is that many people were complaining that the screen was getting cracked on them. So previous models were all magnesium. This year we're looking at an aluminum chassis, so a little bit stronger, a little bit stiffer, and a little bit heavier this year, but a little more rigid and firm. So I doubt if we'll see as many complaints with that this year. But I think one of the reasons that a lot of people were having issues with it is they were grabbing right here between these hinges. So if you grab and hold the laptop here between the hinges, there's quite a bit of flex between the display portion and the actual deck itself. Like I'm doing it right now and I'm flexing that quite a bit. I'm able to move that, even with this aluminum chassis, a significant amount. And I highly recommend you don't grab and carry the laptop right here. What you want to do is grab it more towards here or more towards here, towards the hinges. Because when you're grabbing on the hinges, there's not going to be any flex, and you can get a good amount of grip on it right here. But if you grab here in the middle, you're going to be putting a lot of flex and a lot of force on the display right here. And I think this is where a lot of people are having the problem from. So I do recommend either grabbing it down here by the trackpad or grabbing it up here by the hinges. And another thing to keep in mind is when you're transporting this laptop and you have it in a book bag or some type of backpack or whatever it may be, don't stack a bunch of books next to it. You know, if you're dropping this in your backpack, don't put a bunch of books this way or this way. It's going to put a lot of pressure on the screen or on the backside of the chassis. And this is a very, very thin machine. You know, you don't want to be doing that kind of stuff. So get a dedicated laptop bag for it where you're not putting other books with it. This is a very expensive purchase, so you want to protect it. So get a dedicated laptop bag for it, you know, something that'll carry a 16-inch, 16 by 10 screen. And just to make sure that when you're grabbing it, don't grab it between the hinges. All right, the next tip is all about storing your S Pen. So by default, you're going to put your S Pen back here on the lid, and it's going to magnetize right up here towards the top, which is pretty cool, and it's up and out of the way. However, I will say, you know, it is pretty magnetized up here. It does have a firm hold, but the best spot for keeping a real firm hold on it while you walk away is right down here. Holy moly. This is strong. Like I can almost, whoa, there we go. Almost did, come on. Ooh, almost lift up the laptop with the pin. We had it go in there just a little bit. So if you leave your laptop open quite a bit and you just step away, and you like to use your S Pen, this is a lot more convenient than putting it back here on the lid. You just set it right here. It's going to stick there. Believe me, you can almost throw it at it. Boom, there, it grabbed it right there. It is very, very magnetized right in this section. The only caveat, though, is if you do get in the habit of doing this, just make sure you don't slam your lid down. You're going to come right down on the S Pen. That could be a really bad day. But if you're the type that likes to leave your lid open and go back and forth between doing a task and going back to your laptop, this is a great spot to keep your S Pen while you're working. All right, one more tip is to check out the Galaxy Book Experience app. So by default, it's already installed, and there will be a shortcut down here in your taskbar right next to the Microsoft Store icon. We'll go ahead and click on that. All right, so this is going to have a lot of cool features that are related to Samsung specifically. So you can manage your Samsung account. We have Samsung Notes, we have Quick Search, Live Wallpaper, Samsung Pass, Samsung Gallery, Samsung Studio Plus, which is that toolbar we looked at for the webcam, as well as a video editor application. We also have SmartThings, and if we see more, we have the screen recorder, which I've already touched on. We have Samsung Settings, which we've already touched on as well. We have Bixby, which I'll be doing a separate video on. We have Samsung Flow, which we've already covered in a past video, and I will link that down in the description. And we have Samsung Device Care. If we go down a little bit further, we have some help and how-to guides, how to share with any device, how to use this as a tablet, quickly connect to your buds, link your phone to your PC, protect your privacy, how-to guide and manual, how to become an expert on this laptop, and set up and switch devices easily with Smart Switch, which will let you take all your settings and your files from your previous Galaxy Book and switch them over to this one. This is a Galaxy Book Experience app. It's already pre-installed on your Book3 Pro 360. All right, we have one final tip for this video, and I'm sure I'll probably do a follow-up video with more tips and tricks soon. But let's get the most out of the gaming experience on this machine. So what you want to do is go down to the Start menu. You're going to start typing Graphics Settings. All right, go ahead and click on that. And once this loads up, you have this option up here, Change Default Graphics Settings. It's kind of weird how it says that because it'll take you to this one right here, where we now have variable refresh rate for gaming. All right, so this will go between 60 and 120. And unlike the first option that we talked about in the beginning of the video, between going 60 and 120, this is actually variable. So it'll go to 67, 93, 120, down to 61. That's what you want for gaming to prevent screen tearing and weird artifacts from showing up. And we also have an optimization for windowed games, right? So if you like to play windowed games instead of full screen, you can further enhance that as well. So this has been 15 or so tips and tricks for the Galaxy Book3 Pro 360. If you have any questions or comments about the video or the Book3 Pro 360, please drop them down in the description below. This is my third Galaxy Book, so I'm pretty well versed with them, so I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. And if you have any suggestions for a future video, please drop them down in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.